Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of AskDproS Business, where we'll bring business owners, entrepreneurs on the show for them to share their journey and their story in a way to motivate and inspire us. On this particular episode, I've got Joe here. Joe has an amazing story. We had an intro call before this interview, and it was an amazing conversation to me and Joe. And Joe is here to speak about his book, Everyday Excellence, which I know is going to help entrepreneurs, business owners, and those that want to get into business as well. And Joe, on this show, we always start from the beginning, which means, telling us, how the journey started for you, how it started for you. Why this book in particular?
This book, one of my friends asked me how long it took me to write. And the process of writing was 1,500 hours in terms of actually sitting down and doing stuff. But leading up to the sitting down at the computer, it was 40 plus years of being a human sponge, of just absorbing different information, different concepts, going through different experiences. And then I had that crystallization moment where it all solidified. I was literally down in my weight room, tossing around some weights, listening to some Black Sabbath and Jocko Willink, actually. He was talking about excellence as a habit. And I'm like, excellence is a habit. Habits need to be done every day. Everyday excellence. And all of a sudden I had the lightning bolt, the insight of, oh my God, this is a book. And not only is this a book, I saw the exact structure of it as a daily reader with a quote from somebody like Jocko, analysis and discussion, but then an action item for every single day to help crystallize within the reader the same way that I had crystallized the concept listening to Jocko at that very moment. So years and years of experience in a single moment.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. But in terms of writing this book, what was the main, inspiration for you? What was your why to write this book?
So my why is I have, for as long as I can remember, been focused on trying to improve, trying to get better, to learn more, to understand, to push myself. My mom was a nun and an educator. My father was a consultant, former Army. And so we had a standard of excellence that we grew up with, that we always had to give our best effort and that we could improve over time, whether it was with an instrument, whether it was with martial arts, whether it was learning a new language, that, cooking. In any endeavor, we have the capacity for improvement within us if we're willing to use the focused effort and take the time and understand that's going to be a process. And so working this book really is the evolution and output of that, because I'm a living, breathing example of what everyday excellence could be. For example, I'm a former international champion martial artist, but I'm not a gifted athlete. In fact, when I was 10 years old, I was legally dead from my asthma. So I came back from that, ended up playing volleyball in high school and college, lettering in cheerleading actually in college, doing Tea Kwon Do and winning an international championship, and eventually running ultra marathons, even though I'm not a talented or naturally gifted athlete in any capacity. It's just through continued focused effort and having that discipline. Learning to speak languages, becoming a concert cellist, even writing is one of those things that if you work on it every single day, you can improve and you clarify your thinking, as Dr. Jordan Peterson says. And as such, you can communicate better, which is something that I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, an attorney, a spouse, a parent, an employee in a fast food place. Improving your communication by consistent effort is going to yield immense dividends to you. So learning to write, practicing these skills is going to make your life better. And as I said, I don't care if you're in a Fortune 50 company or you're just starting out with your own gig. It's the sort of thing that you have some control over your destiny. and you can make better choices to get better outcomes. And that's part of the idea behind Everyday Excellence.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Absolutely. And it's good to always, prepare ourselves to learn more, to know more, to kind of like be aware, have that self-awareness, to improve yourself in terms of your skills, your daily skills, if you're, I don't know, whatever you do in life, to have that improvement, but talking about improvement, improving, how would this book improve, let's say, someone that you probably got a regular job, or let's say what we're doing right now, talking about businesses and entrepreneurs, how would this book improve their daily life in terms of work-life balance, or, how to gain more at work,
So every single day we make about 10,000 micro decisions. And these decisions stretch across everything, whether it's our personal health, our mental health, our nutrition, our communication, our education, our relationships. So we've got all these different components of our lives that we make decisions around. And most of those decisions we make on automatic. We don't even think about what they are. So one of the things that we can do is we can set up our environment to make, by default, a better choice. An example that I use is, if you want to lose weight, get the junk food out of your house. Okay, if there's no chips in the house, you can't eat chips, and you're going to default to eating something healthier and better. If your running shoes are next to your bed and you literally trip over them when you get out of bed, you're more likely to actually put them on and go for a couple-minute run than if you have to go open up the closet and take them out, because that's additional activation energy. You have to literally climb uphill from an energy point of view to do that. So if we can, through conscious micro choices up front, design our environment to lead us to better decisions, we're going to have better outcomes. And as Colossus tells Deadpool in the movie Deadpool 2, I'm a big comic book fan if you haven't noticed yet, 4 or 5 moments is what determines if somebody is a hero or a villain. For those of us without superpowers, it's 4 or 5 micro decisions on a daily basis that determine, is our arrow pointing up or down. So it's those little things like that. And as I said, it's across all these different parameters. So the structure of the book is, we give a quote, we give discussion and analysis around that, and hitting on a lot of those different factors. And then there's an action item to turn around and help, as I said, crystallize. So, for example, one of the days is the action item is to smile at 5 people today. Now, smiling takes no time, takes very little effort, costs no money.
Yeah, but when you don't smile, all do it. Yeah, but not everybody does that though.
Right, and here's some of the biochemistry behind it. When you smile or laugh like we were when we first came on, pretty hilarious.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What happens is your cortisol levels drop, and the more you laugh, the more precipitously they drop. So as I was saying before, we have no cortisol in our system right now, you and I. So your cortisol drops. Cortisol is one of the key components in advanced aging in your cells. So when you laugh, it reduces the stress on your body, and it slows the aging process. It also helps produce serotonin and oxytocin, which are happiness chemicals. And if you laugh, it flushes your system of some of the negative chemicals that are in it. You are happier, you are more creative and more intelligent and more persuasive for the next 15 to 20 minutes. And one of the cool things about smiling at other people is, in our neocortex are what are called mirror neurons. So if I smile at you, you naturally want to smile back at me.
Yeah.
So I have now given you a gift that costs nothing, that makes you better and improves your day and makes you much more effective for the next 15 to 20 minutes. And if I do that multiple times throughout the day, not only am I getting the benefit from the smiles and laughter, but I'm sharing that with other individuals who can then potentially share it. And so these become micro nodes within our community of positivity, but also positive impact and improvement. So making the habit of trying to smile more often is one of those things that has compounding effects over time, because if you've got less cortisol in your system, not just right now, but over time, it's going to improve your overall health. It's going to improve your immune system, we have seen, and improve your psychological position.
Yeah, Joe, absolutely. I think laughing and making people happy as well, is a great tool to actually, have that personal improvement, towards your life and other people around you as well, But in terms of your book and using this to better ourselves, are there different exercises that you can do on a daily basis?
Yes, every single day is completely unique in terms of it. Some days we hearken back to what we've talked about previously in the book to help reinforce that. But, what's your birthday?
We have the second of March.
2nd of March. So March 2nd, the quote is, "Leadership is unlocking people's potential to become better." Bill Bradley, former NBA star and senator. So some people are natural born leaders and team captain and president of student body have God-given abilities that the rest of us mere mortals can only dream about. These are unicorns, rare beyond belief. Usually leaders are made, not born. Okay, and we go on and we talk about developing leadership skills and what you can do and all that. But here's the action item. Who looks up to you that says they want to be like you? Have a cup of coffee with them and show them how to be better than you are. So if you've got, let's say that you're 15 years old and you've got an 11-year-old kid brother, okay, because the 11-year-old looks up to their older brother, wants to be him. Don't have a cup of coffee because you're 15, but, sit down and talk to them and spend a couple of minutes being a good big brother. If you're a senior in college and you're playing on a sports team, or you're in a fraternity or sorority, and there's somebody who's a freshman or sophomore who thinks the world of you, sit down, have a cup of coffee with them and talk to them about some of the mistakes that you made and things that you wished you had done during your college career that they should take advantage of, because they still have time that will put them a couple of steps ahead. If you're a 35-year-old podcaster and you've got a great following like you do, Caseyana, and somebody, is connected with you on LinkedIn or on one of the podcast groups or whatever, reach out to them and spend a couple of minutes and talk to them about things that you've done well and things that you haven't done quite so well in terms of getting to this point with your career, so that they can learn from it.
Yeah.
And then the flip side of this is, instead of just being a good leader and mentor to somebody else, James Altucher talks about the +1, -1, and equal, where you should be mentoring somebody, but you should also try and be mentored. So find somebody who is 5 or 10 years ahead of you on the curve and reach out to them. Unless they're an absolute jerk, they should give you a couple of minutes to help you, which then saves you 6 months worth of work potentially. And so this is the best way to develop, is be a mentor, but also be mentored by somebody else. And one of the things that we discovered in the financial services world with $1 Million Roundtable when they ran a mentoring program is that the person being mentored increased their production by about 30%. But the person doing the mentoring increased their production by 35%. So both hands, both parts of the equation benefit from this tremendously. So one of the things for your listeners is that they should look around and see who they want to be like and try and reach out to them, and who wants to be like them, who's a younger version of themselves that they can reach down and pull up and accelerate.
Yeah, absolutely, Joanna. It's always good to mirror someone that's done it before. That will probably make things much more easier for you. Kind of like, showing you, the ropes. I've done this before. This is the way to go. Don't go this route. Take this route. Which is great. But and I also know that writing the book is also like a big thing as well. The stress and everything like that goes with that as well. And I'm also you've done an amazing job as well. In doing this. But the process of writing this book, coming up with everything in this book, what was the main challenging thing for you, writing this book?
Writing the book was actually a lot of fun. I got into a good habit. I'm a big fan of James Clear's habit stacking, by the way. So, I would get up in the morning, I would have my half cup of coffee and turn the coffee pot on so that the rest of the coffee would make, so that I was basically primed and ready to go. I would sit down and write whatever was in my brain, because when you sleep, we process information. Then I would read for a couple of minutes. So I was reading The Everyday Stoic by Ryan Holiday when I wrote this. I still sit down and read every morning. I read right now the Daily Laws by Robert Greene, and I actually read Everyday Excellence every morning. I read my own book and I do the action item. Sometimes the action items hurt. They suck. It's not fun. I freely admit it, but it's the process of making me better. Then I go and I work out for 30 minutes every single morning to get the brain going, to get the body going. And while I'm working out, I'm listening to a podcast or an audiobook or something like that. And very often I'm outside and running, so there's the birds chirping, and I'm getting my dose of nature for the morning. So I do that, and then I sit down and I write. And I would write 2 pages in the book 2 days every single morning. And some days it sucked. I'd throw away 75% of what I wrote. And some days it actually was really good. Those were rarer days, but it was the process of doing it every single day. And then it didn't matter how much if I got time to write more throughout the day or in the evening, I had done what I needed to do in the morning before the chaos of the world came on and decided to disrupt my plans. Because as Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Every day we get punched in the face with work and kids and everything else. So I made sure that I got it done early. I have a saying, win the morning, win the day. So I would make sure that I got up and won the morning before anybody else was there to disrupt it. And then from there, I'd be able to roll forward and build. But the hardest part of the book actually was what has occurred after I was done writing it. Because Ryan Holiday talks about this in that, and this guy's written a dozen bestsellers. So I think he knows what he's talking about. Writing a book is like running a marathon. You spend all this time training, you spend all this time working, you pour your heart and soul into this thing, you finish this massive endeavor, you cross the finish line, and they take you over to the side, and you're like, oh, I'm getting my medal, and I'm maybe hitting the podium and all that. And it's like, no, that's the start of another marathon, and that's the editing and the marketing and the support around it. I mean, literally earlier today, I was on the phone with my publisher because I'm waiting for a bunch of books to arrive for a book signing. I was on the phone with my website people so that we can make sure that we've got certain stuff built out in terms of support on it. I was doing technology stuff. I was doing editing stuff. You're the third person I've talked to on a podcast today. So there's as much or more of this after you have completed the book as there was before. So in a lot of ways, it's like having a baby. You have the 9 months leading up to it, and it's, difficult, and there's lots of breathing and a big push at the end. But after that's done, after the baby's out, you're not done with your job.
That's when the job starts.
Yeah, that's when the sleepless nights and everything else come about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I love what you said about you win the morning and you win the day, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and I can see you're winning with this book already, but are there more books coming?
Yes, there are. So it was weird because I literally finished the book one day, and the next morning I get up and start my routine like I do every day, and I sit down to write. I'm like, I don't have to work on the book. I don't have to write. I can't write. It's off at the editors. What do I do? So I sat there and I actually brainstormed on future books. And while this was in editing and post-production, I actually wrote another book, a business book that I had been working on previously that I'd put on the shelf. So I took a month to write that book while this was editing. And I've got a couple of other, I don't want to call them self-help books. It's more like applied personal psychology books in the works that I'm actually starting to write the proposals on right now. So I probably have a piece of work to be able to help people in small groups be able to grow and develop every 30 months for the next 6-8 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully I keep learning in that interim, and then so I got another one after that.
Yeah. Great, Joe. Great. Now everybody's on their mobiles. Everybody on their iPads and computers or whatnot. But your book, is it available? Do you have mobile versions? Apart from the hard copy.
Yes, in fact, this book was the Amazon Kindle #1 new release in professional development a little while ago. So I actually, even though I love the touch and feel of this, it feels so good. Oh, and when it arrived, I'm like, I'm cracking it. I'm like, smelling it. I'm like, it's real. But books on the computer actually are a great way to consume things. So that's how I actually read my version, is on the computer screen every single morning via Kindle. And we're working on audiobook version. So that way it can actually be, the link be texted to people every single morning. They just hit it, open it, and it's as easy as possible to get their daily multivitamin for life.
Yeah, great. So if you guys want to get this book, where's the best way?
So they can get it on Amazon or at Barnes & Noble, any place that books are sold. They can also get physical copies from my website, which is everyday-excellence.com. And I recommend that they go to the website for the reason that in addition to being able to get the book, all the podcasts that I'm on live up there, so people can find this one over and over and over again. But there's also a microblog where every single day I use a quote from somebody and just have a real quick 30-second discussion around it. So people can get more guidance, more support, more insight. And it really is an entire environment designed to help promote people's excellence.
Yeah, great. I think a couple of minutes ago, you're talking about mental health as well, how this book can help you with your mental health. And I know that's a great thing right now. A lot of people that are going through, everybody's going through something. Everybody going through whatever they're going through. But in terms of this book helping you in terms of getting your mental balance, how would you recommend this book on a scale of 10 for those that want to probably read this to just have that balance, everyday balance?
So if people have like severe chemical imbalance that needs medication, definitely they need to take their medicine. But there are a lot of studies that say physical effort can help reduce the need for medication by up to 50%. So one of the big things that I talk about over and over again in the book is finding physical activities that you enjoy, where it's going and taking a 5-minute walk several times throughout the day to change your physical perspective, whether it's dancing, running, martial arts, swimming, something that gets your heart rate up on a regular basis that you enjoy. That is literally one of the best things that you can do for your longevity and actually for your mental acuity, your cognitive capacities as you get older. All the studies say that actually getting physical activity on a daily basis helps contribute to that. It also helps take care of your mental state. Another thing is that what you eat is a major influence on your mental health. If you're eating junk food, it actually clogs up your brain and you're getting a lot of empty calories, so you're not getting the micronutrients that you need to have good mental health. So having a well-balanced diet with low amounts of processed food and high amounts of fruits, vegetables, and good fatty protein, so fish, chicken, things like that, having that is going to directly contribute to positive mental and physical health. Also, as my Tea Kwon Do master taught me decades ago, we dig our grave with our teeth. So having a good diet, not just what you put in your mouth, but what you put into your mind, is going to help with your mental health more than anything else.
It's great, man. I like what your coach taught you. You know, we dig our graves with our feet. Yeah, that basically saying you have to eat right, right?
Yeah, and 9 out of 10 leading causes of death in the United States are lifestyle diseases. You know, diabetes. Obesity is literally the single biggest determinant of your overall health and your longevity. You know, heart disease, you know, people deciding to smoke, leading to cardiovascular disease. These are all things that we can actually choose whether we do or not. And don't get me wrong, I love donuts and I love Oreos. In fact, I'm wearing my Oreo socks today. But, you know, basically the only time I eat Oreos is when I'm doing an endurance race. So I'm going to be running 15 to 50 miles in a day. I get to eat Oreos that day. If I run at least 10 miles in a day, I get to have donuts. I love donuts. I love donuts. And you know what? I haven't had a donut in a month because that discipline, one, makes me appreciate it more. As Matthew McConaughey says, earn your Saturday nights. But also, it is the trade-off of if you just eat the donuts or have the reward without the hard work that leads to it, you're going to get diabetes. Your pants aren't going to fit. You're going to get cancer. You're not going to be able to get off the couch. You know, you're going to have, like, if you decide to play video games instead of studying, you're going to fail out of school. So do the little more difficult things. Have the discipline to make the right choices, and ultimately your life is going to be so much better off.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm making the right choices. Being you have a 9 to 5, or you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you know, making the right choices is key, as Joe said, you know. And Joe, the book is nice. I'll definitely gonna get one, you know. But in writing this book, you know, is there anything you would have done differently, you know, in bringing out this book?
One of the things I might have done actually is I went the self-published route to start, and then I ended up with a small publisher. I probably would have actually taken the time to write a full proposal and go to the big publishing houses, because it would have allowed me to get in front of more people quicker. Ultimately, this book's going to sell 1 million copies. I completely believe in that. I'm doing all the work to do it. But if I could reach 10 million people, 20 million people, if I could, through podcasts like this and my articles that I write and being on radio and these other things, if I could reach 100 million people and impact them even a little bit, imagine what that would do for our society. So I think that I would have traded some economics to have an even broader impact on people because of the overall effect and net growth of our society that potentially could have come out from that. Because I'm a big believer in economic altruism, or capitalistic karma, as I say. So the rising tide lifts all boats. If I could help more and more people, even if they're not buying my book, then that's a good thing overall.
Absolutely, Joe, man, loving him, you know, and this conversation, you know, I'm going to take a lot from it, you know, and I've learned a lot as well, you know. Excellence is the key. You propelling yourself to, like, you know, gain more, know more, you know, and improve yourself, self-development as well, you know, all packed up in this conversation. You know, Joe, I must tell you, you know, like, you know, you did an amazing job, you know, and I'll say it again, I'm definitely going to get your book, you know, and if guys want to get in touch with you, you're like, they want to reach out to you, where's the best place?
So they can actually reach me directly through the website. It's got a Contact Joe button. Again, that's everyday-excellence.com. Or if they are on Twitter or Facebook, at EDE with Joe, EDE for Everyday Excellence with Joe, that's me. They can reach out directly, DM me in either of those places, and yes, I will respond.
Yeah, thanks again, you know, thanks again, Joe. And I want to tell you that I'm grateful as well. You know, I know people are busy, like you. I think this is your TED show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're all busy, you know, and I want to tell you that I'm grateful for your time, you know, giving me the time, because it's not that that easy to just come on shows and, you know, having so many shows on a day, you know, but you were willing to do this with me, you know, which is absolutely great, you know, and I want to tell you again, you know, I'm really grateful for that.
Casey, I want to thank you because, you know, getting a chance to interact with people like you make me better. And, you know, we had a lot of laughs. You gave me some insight. I'm looking forward to keeping this relationship with you going for years and years because we can both grow from this. There's an old saying, iron sharpens iron. You know, people who push each other both end up in a better place. And so I want to thank you for helping spread my message to bring it to your listeners so that they can continue to grow and be excellent. And that is a wonderful mission that you are on. So thank you for all the work that you do around that.
Thank you. Thanks again. Thanks.